Well, if you could humour me for a moment and cast your mind back to that moment when you first decided to get into business for yourself in the very first place. If you're like most of your entrepreneurial peers, you're probably dreaming of the high life, you know, a magical time in the not too distant future where you're hopefully going to build your business up so you can achieve a certain amount of financial and time freedom that you might be able to do what you want, when you want, with the people you want to do it with. Well, unfortunately, what tends to happen is rather than getting the high life, you find yourself in the midst of the high seas. That you realise you're a little bit out of your depth. Not only are you drowning in having to run your business, you realise that you're the chief financial officer, you're the sales and marketing director, you're the head of IT, the part-time receptionist, and every other job in between. And even those rare moments when you do manage to get your head above water, some calamity will happen. Your biggest client will give you notice, the tax bill will arrive, or that new staff member that you had such high hopes for will leave for greener pastures. So I'm not sure if that sounds familiar, but a lot of people go through some version of the high seas when they start their business. And it's really, the good news is it's really every entrepreneur that wants to achieve anything has to go through some kind of a rough patch. If there wasn't a challenge, there would be no entrepreneurial opportunity to capitalise on. Someone would have already got there before you. But there's a big difference between spending years and sometimes decades in the high seas compared to being able to proceed through the high seas quickly to keep your sanity and your relationships and your personal assets intact. So what is the solution? Well, it's actually a lot simpler than what you actually imagine. It's actually to invest in your own personal development, which is really what you guys are doing here today. But unfortunately, there's very few professions like entrepreneurship where so many people decide they want to be an entrepreneur and don't do any training and just start their business. And even once they're in business, they don't invest enough time and money into their own development either. You know, if you wanted to be a surgeon, you'd go to university and you'd spend years and years and years studying before anyone would allow you to use a scalpel on a real life patient. Or if you wanted to be an architect, you know, you would spend years of study in order to work out how to design a house that could withstand the test of time. Or even if you wanted to be an athlete, regardless of your inherent talent, you'd still surround yourself with a team of people that are going to help with your fitness and your nutrition and technique. So why then is it any different for entrepreneurs? Well, I imagine part of the reason is there's this notion that gets spread around that entrepreneurship can't be trained, that you need to be born with it, okay? That you have to survive the hard knocks and it's only the fittest that are actually going to make it. Well, that's great, but unfortunately this mentality means that not enough people are investing in their own training, and it's leaving a path of distraction and broken dreams in its wake. In fact, that's probably going to only continue because there seems to be a generational change happening at the moment. When I left university, all my friends seemed to want to leave and spend years and sometimes decades climbing the corporate ladder to be the next Jack Welch. Well, these days, someone's leaving university, they don't want to be Jack Welch, they don't want to work for someone else, they want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. They want to actually start their own business and achieve their own financial freedom, hopefully a lot faster. But unfortunately, what tends to be happening is what I call one of the world's enduring delusions is it doesn't happen. People think that they can, you know, leave their job or leave university or even pack their kids off to school and start a business and it's immediately going to be successful. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. The other element of training entrepreneurs, I wonder why it doesn't happen as much as it probably should, is that it's such a vast scope. You know, everything from being good at leadership and relationships and sales and marketing and finance and technology. It's a much, you know, it really starts to overwhelm people when they think how much they need to actually learn to be successful at business. Well, I guess it's been my odyssey over the last, you know, really 7 years to work out how do you train entrepreneurs? How can we actually work out what the solution is to fast track your business? Since retiring from business nearly 5 years ago, I guess, despite my business journey not being as publicised as many, I was still continually asked really what amounted to the same question, which was this, you know, things like, Creel, how was it that you were able to start Blueprint and it became one of the fastest growing businesses in Australia? Or what was the one thing that enabled you and Trevor to start with $5,000 capital and sell the business for over $100 million within a decade? Or what was the one thing that enabled you to grow your business to over 1,000 people without any external capital? And after the 28th time you hear this, you think, that's such a ridiculous question. How can you digest a 10-year business journey into just one thing? And then I realised that in fact there was one thing more than any other. That one thing that actually is the difference, that makes the difference. One skill that if entrepreneurs start to work on, they are going to grow their business a lot faster. One secret, if you like, that they don't teach in business school. And not so coincidentally, it's actually the title of my book, The One Thing to Win at the Game of Business. And it's my sincere hope that it's the lessons and methodology in there that's going to help not only more entrepreneurs get into business, it's going to actually help more entrepreneurs get through that high seas that I talked about. But more importantly, get more entrepreneurs successful so they can actually invest their skills and commercial ability to be able to use business as a force for good.